All right, Blue Collar Sports. What's going on, guys? We have a very special guest with us today, the star of ESPN Los Angeles, the better half of the Mason and Ireland show, Steve Mason. Steve, what's going on, man?
Hey, all is good. Thanks a lot for having me, guys.
Oh, yeah, it's an honor to have you on, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So, we're huge fans of your show, to say the least. So we just want to pick your brain a little bit. You know, we're guys trying to make it in this business as well. So just want to kind of ask you a couple questions here. So what really got you into this whole wanting to be in the radio and in sports broadcasting, and you know what was your initial motivation to get into that?
Well, when I was a kid, you know, I used to read the newspaper out loud to my family. Especially the sports page. So I technically started when I was like 9 or 10 years old. And then by the time I was 15, I was working for a minor league baseball team at Toledo Mudhens. And we, I was kind of traveling with the team and working as kind of a pseudo traveling secretary. And I really got ingrained into baseball. It kind of became the rhythm of my life. And by the time I was 15, I had my own radio show. A really small station in Toledo. I went out and sold the ads myself. Went to Bowling Green, and I was doing morning drive on a top 40 station, and had a bunch of success there, and somehow made the jump from Toledo, Ohio, all the way to San Diego, where I worked for the Mighty 690, which was technically the first all sports radio station in the country.
Holy crap! So you said you got into it by 15 years old?
Yeah, by 15 years old, I was just, I was a crazy, motivated little kid, and by 15, I had this little coupler set up in my bedroom, kind of like you guys have right now, and
yeah.
I was on the radio every day. I'd go out and sell advertising to make a couple of bucks to pay for it, and I don't think I really made any money, but I did a 5-minute sportscast, about Toledo sport when I was 15, and I was just an ingenious little kid.
So, when you got onto the sports drive, and then you said you initially sold that, and then you made your way out here to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I sold the time on the station. Then I ended up working for a top 40 station and programming it. In other words, picking out the music and doing morning drive. And had a big, luckily a really big successful morning show. And it caught the attention of the station in San Diego called the Mighty 690. Which had me in the morning, Jim Rome in middays, Chet Forty and Steve Hartman were like the other midday show, and then a guy named Lee Hacksaw Hamilton was on afternoon drive.
I remember Lee Hacksaw.
I established myself on that station, which could be heard in Los Angeles because it's a Mexican license. So it was like 75,000 watts, and you could hear it all the way in Los Angeles. And then I ended up in LA at AM710.
Yeah, those are some pretty big names starting out there over in San Diego. So, what brought you along, to meet John Ireland, who's now been your partner for the last 20 years?
Yeah, we got 18 in together. They moved me to nights, and because I was not very cooperative at one point, and so they kind of banished me to nights. It's where I kind of got my I don't give a damn attitude.
Yeah.
And they kept rotating in co-hosts. And finally they said, well, who do you want to work with? And I said, I like the guy from KUSI, John Ireland. And so they put me with Ireland, and the rest is history.
What did you actually graduate from? Like, what degree did you get when you graduated from Bowling Green?
Say that one more time.
What did you graduate with from Bowling Green? What degree?
I graduated with a Bachelor in Liberal Studies, which, when people ask me what you should study if you want to go into the radio business, I always say you want to know as much about different subjects as possible.
Okay.
So for me, a broadcasting degree would have been really narrow, especially since I was already on the air. So I went and just learned as much as I could, liberal arts, did a lot of reading, did a lot of pop culture, movies were part of my degree, and that sort of gives me the basis for the show, because we obviously do a lot of sports, but we do a lot of everything else too.
Yeah, I actually like when you guys talk about like favorite shows and stuff, and it's a good little twist on the sports radio show.
Yeah, I mean, it is a sports. Obviously, it's a sports talk show, but at the same time, because we've been on for such a long time, we've got the leeway to be able to do some other stuff, and the show is really it's about sports, it's about the Dodgers and the Lakers, about what's going on in sports, but it's also it's really about us and what we're in. So that really opens the door to talking about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like my favorite part for you guys is when you guys either do the crosstalk or the fast track. Like when you guys can kind of go off subject and still have a good time talking about all that.
Yeah, I mean, we both know a little bit about a lot of different things, and so cover social issues along with frankly, you can only talk about the specifics of who the Dodgers should play and what the lineup could be, and what the Laker trades, free agents can be for a certain amount of time. You just need more, fodder, more stuff, and so we find that, and a lot of it fits into fast track, and a lot of it fits into crosstalk, whether it be with the midday guys, Mike and Michael, I guess,
Yeah.
or the afternoon guys, Max and Marcella.
Yeah, Mike and Michael, that's a good combo now. I'm becoming a real fan of them. That's a team I would vote on. But
yeah, I think they're doing a really good job. They struggled really finding guys that fit that show, and I think those guys are perfect. I mean, Mike is just a great guy, really easy to get along with, and really funny. And obviously knows the Lakers inside out. Now Michael Thompson, plays for the Lakers, brings kind of a crazy uncle perspective to everything, talking about Bonanza. And, I love Lucy, and he's old school, like from the oldest school.
yeah, definitely. So, obviously now you've made it. You're a big success. You're pretty much a household name and with LA sports fans. But at the time when you initially got into sports radio, there wasn't really, that big of a calling for it. Was there ever a time where you felt discouraged, like, am I going down the right path? Am I going to make this a success? Or did you ever feel like, you might want to change fields because it might not work for you? Or did you know all the way through that this was going to happen?
I went through a kind of rough period. Ireland and I had kind of a 3-year hiatus right in the middle of things. I had a big offer to go to New York and do morning drive on WNEW. And, I talked about it on the air. I really crashed and burned at that job. And, when I came back, I had the first of several kind of midlife crises. And I ended up, I went to the Olympics, I did the Sydney Games, and then I just kind of roamed around Europe and roamed around Africa and went to a bunch of northern countries in Africa. Not really, I didn't go. I was in Ghana, I was in Senegal, I was in Nigeria, I was in Ethiopia, I was in Mali, I was in Mauritania, I was in Egypt, and I was just kind of out there, searching around and trying to figure out life. And when I came back, I went right back into radio with Ireland. The opportunity was there at ESPN. So, I got to kind of broaden my experiences and was able to walk back into it. So, yeah, there was a time where, I was a little bit discouraged and I wasn't sure that I wanted to stay in radio. But ultimately, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, when you guys started broadcasting off of AM1150, that wasn't really like that big of a station, right? Because I know they played like a lot of like pre-recorded games from earlier, like Galaxy games. And when did you know that when you got on with Ireland in Los Angeles that this was going to be huge, that this was going to be something special?
Well, you guys are probably too young to remember this, but Ireland and I were at the same time on AM1150, AM690, and live on Fox Sports West 2, which is now Prime Ticket, and the show was simulcast. So we were one of the first shows that was simulcast, and we had a lot of presence there. That would have been like 98, 99. And by the time I came back, I was on ESPN. So even when we were on 1150, we were technically on TV, and down in San Diego at the same time. So we called it the Primal Cast. We were all on all over the place. It was one of the big peaks for the show.
Yeah. So, I got a few questions about some of the guys you work with at the station, because I know you guys clown around a lot, but is Michael Thompson always eating on the air? Because I swear to God, I can hear that guy chewing all day long.
He's eating, he's checking his text messages, he is calling on the hardline phone, he is reading the newspaper, an actual physical newspaper. He is just a doddering old guy. And yeah, bags of chips. And, he's always eating. Frankly, Max was always eating when he first comes in.
Yeah, I can hear him too.
It's pretty casual there, but yeah, Michael Thompson always.
Yeah, so, okay, I wanted to get into a couple questions. Oh, wait, before that, sometimes on Facebook, they'll put up a pre-recorded, of you guys in crosstalk. Well, is that ever going to be simulcasted? Because that's awesome. I love watching the live look-in with you guys in there going back and forth at each other during crosstalk. Is there ever going to be a chance of that becoming simulcasted?
There's always talk of there being a simulcast, especially on the Lakers channel or on the Dodgers channel, if anybody finally gets it.
Yeah,
and
I'm one of those.
There's no movement right now. I think it would be really great with the simulcast. But as of this, and there's also the chance that it'll be a live stream that goes all the time. But so far, it hasn't taken shape with management.
Yeah, that's something I wish would happen, because it's pretty cool when you see other guys like Dan Patrick and Colin, they have it. And I think with you guys, because you guys are so good, like just beyond sports with everything else, it's just really fun. So to see you guys at the same time in action would be really cool.
Especially you in Ireland too, because you get to do both the crosstalks, the midday and with Max and Marcellus.
Yeah, we kind of get it. We get to do both of them. Our show kind of layers into both of the other shows, which is really really awesome. And especially Max and Marcellus, as much as we goof on him, I really like Max. He's fun to work with, and he's really really smart. And some of the conversations we have before the crosstalk actually starts are crazy inside the business, politics, world affairs.
Yeah.
Marcellus can't keep up at all on that, and Ireland either. So Max and I, we really connect that way.
I was actually going to ask you right now, because crosstalk hasn't been around for the whole time you and Ireland have been together. When did you guys come up with it, or did somebody come at you with the idea?
I told our boss. I told our boss a while back that, this was a couple of years ago, that I just didn't think radio was about shows anymore. And so I started saying to him, there are no shows. There are no shows. And I think that's part of what triggered crosstalk. It's kind of the way radio used to be. Every station, in the 80s and the 90s used to do this. And then they just got away from it. It's like, we're noon to 3, you're 3 to 7. And that's really not the way radio works anymore. One show is supposed to feed into the next show, and there should be an overlap, and there should be a match in tone. So, yeah, I guess the view is there are no shows, and everything layers into each other, and it really works.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like I was saying before, it's just really cool how you guys, when you guys do the crosstalk and actually the fast track more too, it's like you guys go off subject and stuff, and it's like when Chris first came at me with the podcast idea, he was just like, hey, you want to do this podcast? And at first I was hesitant, and then at the end of the day it was like, you know what, even if nobody listens to it, at the very least I get to talk to my buddies about sports for an hour and a half, and what's the worst that could happen,
Yeah, well, I think you guys are doing what I always tell people to do, which is, especially in this, at this point in history and broadcasting, there's no excuse for not just doing it. You guys are incentivized, and I see your tweets, and you guys have credit. But when I see something, I take it seriously because I know your stuff, and I appreciate the fact that you're pushing and you're trying to get out there, and that's why I wanted to
Yeah, Mace, because honestly, you're one of the reasons that got me just to get up and do it, because for so long I'd hear you every day, and I'm like, man, these guys have the dream job. This is the coolest job in the world. And I always wanted to get into it, and I hear so many different ways that you can, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. And then I heard you say one time, like, if you want to do it, just do it. So that's when I just went down to the store. I bought a mic for my computer, and I asked my buddy, hey, let's do a podcast. And now we got the podcast going, and now I'm writing for a website, Page 2 Sports. So that's really, that kind of, you gave me the initiative just to get up and go do it. And that's something I'll never forget, even though you didn't know you did that for me, but that's something that you did, because your words really sunk in with me. So that'll always mean a lot to me.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I'm glad that made a difference.
Do you mind if we ask you a couple sports questions, though? I mean, we do sports.
No, of course. Yeah, bring it on.
So obviously you're a Dodgers-Lakers fan, right?
Oh yeah, not possible.
Yeah. Chris is the man to talk to. I don't like either team, but I respect both teams.
Yeah, Jeff, unfortunately, is a Clippers fan, a Bruins fan, and he likes the Atlanta Braves. So he's way off base with what me and you like, because I'm Lakers, Dodgers, and Trojans myself.
Yeah, well, I think Jeff sucks.
No, but to be honest with you, like, I'll sit down and watch a Laker game with Chris before I watch a Clippers game most of the time. Like, I know more about both those teams than the average fan does.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to avoid the Lakers. It's hard to avoid the Dodgers in this town. They're huge. But I mean, I think it's fun to follow UCLA football. I also think that, the Clippers, I actually love bagging on. It's really funny. I follow both.
I keep on telling Chris, like, why do people hate, like, why do you guys hate on the Clippers so much? They're like your little brother. Like, they've never done anything to you guys.
You know what? The truth is that when the Lakers are going well, they do. Yeah, they'll send tweets and they'll call and complain about us talking about too much Lakers. I just think it's funny. I mean, I'm always one for the joke, and I love getting a rise out of the fans. So
yeah, exactly.
They're pretty good. It's fun. I hope they know it's not really serious, but it is. It's fun to get everybody going.
I love it when you kind of get under Jim Mora's skin by calling him Junior all the time, because that's the best.
Yeah, the last time Mora came on, something got said at the very beginning of the interview, and he said, "Mason, are you going to ruin this interview already? Because it was in like the first 2 minutes." So he knows. I think he's starting to get the joke. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of a hard ass. He didn't really like me at the beginning.
Now, Jim Moore Jr., I love the guy. But back to the sports thing, like the Dodgers this year, off to a great start. What rookie surprises you more right now for them?
Well, as rookies go, Jock Peterson is just spectacular. And I saw him last spring at spring training, and I felt even then that he was going to be a star. I mean, he hit number 14, I think, tonight. He's great in that leadoff spot. He's only batting 256.
Yeah.
But he's got an on-base average 395. I was just looking at that. And a killer OPS. As long as he keeps the on-base average up, I mean, he's great in the leadoff spot. And gives you a, kind of Whitney Henderson kind of pop. So I love Jock as a rookie. I think he's been, really a revelation for them.
Well, when I asked the question, I kind of meant like, because Alex Guerrero, I mean, he's been hot for you guys, but he wasn't really expected to do as much as Peterson, Peterson was supposed to have like a big rookie year. Has he been more of a...
Well, the thing about Guerrero is he's another guy I saw last spring. There's no question, I mean, even then, that he can flat out rake. I mean, he's always been able to flat out rake. The question with him is, could he handle a position defensively well enough to fit on a Dodger team where defense is being emphasized? He doesn't have great range at third base. I mean, he's a time bomb in left field, but you can afford one. I mean, that defense is so tight now. Howie Kendrick made a couple of great plays tonight. Adrian Gonzalez is a gold glove guy. Yasmani Grandal is just fantastic defensively, framing pitches. Jock Peterson is a real center fielder. When Puig gets back, he's got a shotgun arm. You can afford Alex Guerrero at third or at left, and he is a dangerous right-handed bat off the bench if he's not starting.
Yeah, a couple more questions for you. Now, talking when Puig gets back, Crawford just got extended on the disabled list for another 60 days. Do you think that this is gonna possibly cut into Ethier's playing time because you still got to run out Van Slyke, you still got to run out Guerrero, and Ethier's been flat out raking this year. Do you think it might cut into him?
No, I mean, I think Ethier, because he's a left-handed bat, is probably going to see a lot of starts in left field against right-handers. Scott Van Slyke will start against all the lefties. Ethier's not good. And you'll see Guerrero, I think he'll start 2 days a week. But it'll be a lot of Ethier. And so, it makes sense now that they catch him. I mean, he's got to be, frankly, he could have been traded during the offseason, and they would not have Crawford now. He's your backup in center field. If you need a center fielder, he can play center field. I guess put Puig out there. I think it's kind of a waste. But Ethier is your other decent center fielder. If anything happens to Jock, and he's great against right-handers, he's a great left-handed bat off the bench. If he's not starting, it was smart to keep Andre Ethier, even though everybody questioned it during the offseason.
Yeah. Now, do you think because they tried so hard to trade him in the offseason and he was kind of untradeable because, the last few seasons he's either been hurt or unproductive and Crawford's completely untradeable. But now that Ethier has picked it back up and looks really, really good, he hit another home run tonight. Do you think that when Crawford comes back and looks good and you have the emergence of Guerrero, that Ethier is going to be right back on the trading block because it's kind of that sell him while he's hot type of thing?
I do not think so. I don't think they trust Crawford and his health at all. I mean, they moved him from the 15 to the 60, so he's not available until late June. And, there's no guarantee. That is the most untradeable contract maybe in all of baseball. They cannot move that deal. But I also don't think they trust him. I mean, he'll get starts in left field, but Ethier has demonstrated that he should start over Carl Crawford. Ethier is definitely the third outfielder, even when Crawford is healthy.
Yeah, now, I was looking at an interesting stat. The Dodgers have kind of feasted or famine this year when it comes to who they're matched up against. It seems like all the bottom feeders, they're just rolling right through and they're taken care of. The Giants they've had trouble with, and now they've against the Cardinals. Cardinals took care of them pretty easily. I mean, Dodgers haven't really hit against the good teams. They got swept by the Giants, scoring no runs, and then they only scored 6 runs against the Cardinals in this series. Does this concern you at all with when they go up against the more elite teams that they're having trouble hitting?
I actually think this is overplayed. Last year they were 11. I think they were 11-8 against the Giants. They also won the Cardinals season series. I mean, this is a snapshot in time, and teams go cold during stretches. A baseball season ebbs and flows. I think they just happened to catch those teams while the offense was cold, and they were due for it because they were leading all of baseball in OPS, leading all of baseball in home runs, leading all of baseball in on-base average. I mean, they started out like a house on fire. They were due to go cold, and they all went cold at the same time. And I think they really missed Puig there for a stretch. So no, I mean just because you lose a season series to somebody really has no bearing on how you're going to play against them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Now, last question for you, Steve. I know you got to get going. But so the Lakers, they're selecting the second pick coming up on June 25th. What are you hoping that the Lakers do with this pick? Are you hoping they develop it or kind of like maybe flip it if they can get someone crazy like a DeMarcus Cousins or reach for the stars, a Kevin Durant type deal? Or I mean, what's your preference with that?
I don't think Durant is going to move. I think he is staying in Oklahoma City.
He's got a broken Jones.
Everything they can to sign him, and it's much more likely that next summer, when Durant is a free agent, it'll be the summer of Durant. I think he will go right down to the wire, deciding between OKC, Washington, and the Lakers. And I think the Lakers have a real chance next year to sign Durant as a free agent. In the case of the draft pick, I would love to see them. It's probably going to be open for business on the board at that point. And I love Okafor. I like the idea of Okafor. I love the fact that you can pair him with Randall in the front court, and I think it's a real dream front court potentially. But I also worry about injuries with big guys. You can go wrong with the big guy. You just never ever know. So if you could package draft picks and be able to acquire somebody like Boogie, and I think you could be able to pull that off. You could even package draft picks and find a way to trade down and somehow get Sacramento's pick. So you were to put maybe the two and your 2 second-round picks to Sacramento and still come away with their 6. I think that would be a spectacular deal for the Lakers. Because in the end, a draft pick is a draft pick, and it's an asset.
Yeah.
And you acquire assets, be able to use them either in the draft in this case or as a chip in another deal. So if the right deal is there, and I think Cousins would potentially be it, I would be in favor of using it to get Cousins.
I agree with you. I like the proven talent more than the question mark in the draft.
So
as long as it's like a guy that's first round worthy, like DeMarcus Cousins is a 20-10 waiting to happen. That's definitely first round worthy.
yeah. So well, Mace, we definitely want to thank you for your time. We know you're a busy guy, so definitely thank you a lot for coming on our show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. And, make sure you tweet me this stuff, and I will retweet it to everybody.
All right, thank you. That's Steve Mason, guys, the star of Mason Ireland from noon to 3, Monday through Friday. Thanks again, Mace.
All right, thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
All right, guys. Well, that was Steve Mason for you. Interesting, Jeff.
Very. I'm all pumped
to
up.
say the least. Sorry, Juan, you couldn't make it today. But, yeah, we'd like to thank you, Steve, for coming on. You're awesome. But, that was cool, man. I mean, I dig it. But
it's good. Yeah, he's a professional. It's good getting a professional's input on what we talk about all the time.
Yeah, one of the top dogs in LA radio with the biggest ratings. I mean, he's obviously a star in the town when it comes to the sports media side. And,
yeah.
And he's a huge Children's fan that's got to eat you up inside.
Yeah, I hate that. It's funny because, Ireland's like the guy I'd want to talk to. Like,
yeah, John.
He's the UCLA fan. I mean, they're both Laker fans, so nothing I can do about that. They're both Dodger fans, but at least he has the Bruins going for me. But yeah, I don't know. That was cool. That was super cool.
That was super cool. I'm definitely.
Yeah.
Real quick, how do you feel about Uribe now? Over, I know he's played a couple games already. How's he done? I haven't really caught him.
He had a home run for us the other night.
There you go.
But dude, I don't.
What do they call him, Poppy? Poppy? Uribe the Poppy?
They do? They call him that?
Well, they call him Poppy. I know the Dodger players called him Poppy.
The Braves better not call him Poppy.
He's already making Freeman his little...
No.
Taking him under his wing.
Not even. Come on. I don't know.
Is he starting, though? Is he getting a lot of...
Dude, I don't get to watch the Braves very often. I mean... Chris Johnson he was on the DL. He just got back, though. Chris Johnson started the other day.
So Uribe's just going to get waived sooner or later, huh?
That's what I think, man. I really don't know why we traded for Uribe. Especially, we got rid of Casper, who could have been their third baseman anyway. Like, we took on Uribe's more expensive contract when we're trying to cut salary. And just for an old third baseman who had a game-winning home run against us 2 years ago. Like, fuck that guy, man. Fuck that guy. That makes me mad, but nothing I can do about it. I'm just a fan,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of Dodger fans were hurt, but, I mean, I hope they can see that trading Uribe was definitely for the best. I mean, there's no questioning that. But, guys, I want you to know that this is just a short, special podcast today. We're actually going to continue in a couple days. Back on Wednesday, we'll be back with Juan, and we're going to have a special guest on from Page 2 Sports. He covers the fight game, boxing and all that such. Daniel, he's the boxing writer over there, and he's a good guy, so he'll be on with us on Wednesday talking some boxing with Amir Khan. I got the Gennady fight coming back up, and we'll do a little UFC talk as well for all you MMA fans. So we'll see you guys again in a couple days. So
Until then,
Blue Collar Sports.
J Van Gundy 23.
At Chris Blue Collar, JJ Naharo, who wasn't here today. We're on Instagram, Blue Collar Sports Podcast, on Facebook, Blue Collar Sports Podcast, and hashtag everything Blue Collar Sports on Twitter. Get at us. We appreciate all the help, all the love, all the BS we talk with you guys. That's all great, always awesome. So keep talking. If it's talking trash, talking good, whatever, we're always down for it. So talk to you guys again in a couple days.